Welcome, everyone, to the 25th anniversary of the Fantasia International Film Festival. My name is Justine Smith, and I program the underground section for the festival. As a programmer, films like Baby Don't Cry are movies that genuinely make my job worth doing. This is a film about a young Chinese immigrant baby played by writer-actor Zita Bai, and the powder keg romance that erupts when she meets Fox, a Skid Row punk. It's a movie that pushes boundaries and has an unusual and compelling intensity. I absolutely adore this film, and it's my honor to be presenting the world premiere today at Fantasia. And we're so lucky tonight to be having so many members of the cast and crew joining us. So I'm going to start with Zita Bai, who is the writer and lead actor. We also are joined by director Jesse Dvorak. We have co-stars Voss Provatakis and Boni, as well as producers Qiyu, Zhou, and Zeron, Zhao. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm super excited.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
It's an honor.
And I just want to remind the audience that at any point they can send questions, and I will get to as many of them as I can. So please do that, because I know that people love to ask questions about world premieres. I mean, you guys are the first audience in the world to watch this, so like take advantage of that privilege. So I'm actually just going to start by talking with you, Zita, just because you're the one who this is your creation, this is your script. I would love to hear kind of the inception of this idea and how the script came together.
Yeah, the idea has been with me for such a long time because just a little bit of about myself. I was born and raised in China. I moved to the States as a young teen, didn't speak a word of English. So just growing up, I never seen immigrant stories and also told it from a female perspective. So I really wanted to like make a story like this. And also I realized I wasn't getting any younger and I wanted to capture the memories, moments, and feelings before I forget about them.
And so what is the process of writing the script? Is it something that came together quickly? So it's clearly inspired by your own experience, but there's also so many fantastical elements and surreal elements that are kind of intertwined within it as well.
Thank you so much for mentioning the fantastical elements, because I feel like there's always a difference between what's being real and what feels real, especially at the age of 17, that tender age, you started to feel things, things may seem bigger than what they are. So writing this story just gave me a second chance to relive my youth, my coming of age moments, and also put things into perspective.
Yeah, I know watching the movie for me, it brought me right back to that time, which I think is such a difficult thing to do. And actually the programmer who wrote the notes for the film, Justin, he is a high school teacher. And he's like, this is a movie that captures the intensity of emotions of someone who's 15, 17 years old. And so like for him, it also resonated so much. So thank you. Like, it's just incredible work.
Thank you so much.
And so once you have the script, can you talk about kind of the next process? It's like how this is a very small budget film. This is a very indie project. I think for a lot of people, they don't necessarily know how you go from having a script to getting a movie. So would you like to kind of explain that process a little bit?
Of course. And I just feel like me and Jesse met a few years prior to Baby Don't Cry, and I produced his first feature film, Los Angeles, which was a gorgeous film. And so after I finished the script, I wanted to work with someone I trust. And Jesse's like big brother to me. So of course I thought about him. And then I met Qiyu a few years ago at AFI, American Film Institute. And I was doing, I believe at the time I was doing a production design on a student film, and we clicked instantly. And then I brought her on as the producer. And then, yeah, we have Zeron, and then we started casting. Then we found Voss and Boni.
And were you always planning to star in the film? Was it always kind of the intention?
That was kind of the intention, and also because there aren't very many genre films that's told from female perspective, and especially as you can tell in the story, baby is not necessarily like model minority, and because oftentimes we see two type of Asian women's in American cinema, the sex symbol or the nerdy girl wants to go to Harvard and pursue like degree in law or medical or something. So I did have some concerns about whether or not people will react to baby's experience. So I just thought, if I portray this character, I would do it full-heartedly. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, kind of talking, we're very lucky to have two other actors here with us. Would you like to discuss the kind of prep work and possibly any kind of rehearsals that you guys did? Just because I feel that there is such a camaraderie, like you really feel these connection between the characters. So I'm curious kind of how you guys met and how you worked together within the film.
Jesse had me doing a lot of chemistry tests with different actors who came in for audition. And I just remember when I met Voss, Boni, and Helen, the actress played my mom in the film, and Jesse was just like, "Oh, that's Voss, that's Fox, that's Sky, that's Mommy," and you guys just have this chemistry together. And for sure, when I met Voss and Boni, I just felt this connection with them.
And I mean, I feel like I would love to hear too from Boni and Voss, like your experience kind of being brought into the film and possibly even reading the script and your kind of connection with it too.
Voss, do you want to go first?
Sure. Firstly, I just wanted to thank you for having us here. This is really exciting. So I was just a hired gun from the beginning. I just auditioned for it, like 100 other people. But I was lucky enough to make it, and I could tell you from the beginning, there was just this automatic connection that I had with the character. I felt like even from the first audition, I felt like I knew who he was, and I felt like also, Jesse and Zita created an environment in the audition where I could really just kind of let go and just try new things and potentially make mistakes, but also, learn from those and get better. And, that energy, that environment, it stayed throughout the whole, film. And I feel like, when I read the script, I got to, get a feeling of how close this was to Zita. And I really felt a sense of duty to be able to just like realize the character as much as I can for them and just make, give them something that they can also be happy with.
Totally. When I came on again, also I was a hired gun. I came into audition in person after the self tapes, and Zita just kept saying like, "You are Sky, you are Sky." And at the time I was like, okay, I really want to take on a darker role. Like, this will be really interesting for me. And then when Zita said, you're, am I Sky? Like, is there part of me that is this very kind of, lost dark girl? And I'm like, explore this further. And then you mentioned the whole camaraderie thing. I think it really helped that we were sort of all living together during the filming. So we really did have this like family connection together. It was just the best experience before and during shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a quick question from the audience. So this is from Anonymous. It's were there any scenes that you end up filming that didn't quite make the final cut?
I can answer this. So Jess had me and like Boss like just being our characters and go on a date to Pike Market, which is like this touristy spot in Seattle, and we were just like filming each other, like having a good time. And I think we filmed more than we needed. Yeah, just date moments. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I there was the scenes that we shot together, because there's a few other scenes where we're in like a park and we're kind of making trouble with some other characters and stuff, and those scenes to me were the highlight of shooting, because we got to really just explore our relationship and just be a bunch of weirdos together, and that was like super fun, so we have the memories, even though they didn't make it into the film.
And I guess were there any particular challenges in kind of incorporating this like second camera within the story? Because it's so striking, it's one of these things that kind of sets the film apart. But I also imagine kind of integrating it within the greater film may not be always an obvious choice.
Do you mind if I chime in there? I mean, I was always drawn to like the aesthetic of the high eight kind of thing, and so it was interesting because I just want one. He's not here, Adam. I just want to kind of shout out to how awesome our DP Adam was, and like what a hero he was, and just worked his butt off, and how proud I am of just the images he helped me create, helped all of us create. So. But we had this discussion where it was just sort of like a letting go. And I think for me, again, I want to just kind of create an environment where everyone feels that they feel the trust that I have for them, and which I do with all these actors who are so talented. And so as far as like the second cam, the high eight, it was almost this discussion I had, or it was a discussion I had with Adam. It was sort of like, you know what, we can't shoot from Baby's perspective better than Baby. So we can kind of tell her what we want them to go do, and like go be free and go do it. And then we'll come back and look at it. I remember I'd be like, make sure you get this, this, and this. But I'm not going to tell you how to compose it. I'm not going to tell you how to do these things, because to me, this is Zita, this is Baby, and to have her perspective, this was like, we can't fabricate that from us trying to do it, as like DP and director.
How was that for you, Zita? Was that a bit scary? Like, I would be a little scared.
Honest with you, like, I'm very grateful for Jesse, Boss, and just, everyone's trust, because I feel like, because I'm not like a professional DP, and my camera skill is very messy. And in the end, I just felt like that's exactly what we needed for Baby. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's so beautiful in the end too. Like, I feel like there's something about it that I don't think you could calculate. So I think it works incredibly well. So it's definitely like a gamble that paid off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the other parts of the film that I absolutely love, which I'm sure is partially out of convenience, but also is probably related to your own story and experience, is the kind of setting in the Pacific Northwest. I feel like the locations and the environments are so unique and so beautiful. Do you kind of want to talk about shooting where you did, and kind of this decisions to use certain locations?
So I was very certain about filming this in Seattle, because Seattle was the first city I moved to when I first came to the US. I spent like, my most coming of age years there. And I just feel like filming in the city gave me so much. It's such a huge honor. And so our producer Qiyu went to Seattle 1 month before filming and did all the location scout for us. Yeah, maybe
I want to. Right. Yeah, I'm really grateful like she chose Seattle, because it's such a different city, totally different look from LA, which have been seen a little more in movies. And when I went to Seattle for location scouting, at the beginning, I was kind of nervous, not sure of how they're gonna be welcome to us. But eventually, like after I pitched the project and say, hey, I like your place. Do you want to be in the feature? And eventually, they just almost like let us shoot for a really, really low rate, or just like way more supportive than LA locations. That just really helps a lot for production side. So that's also a great thing to do for production. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, because it definitely like feels unique. I know that as a Canadian, we often see like Vancouver standing in for Seattle, but it really doesn't compare. They're two different cities, even though the environment may be different. So like, I think you did an amazing job. I love the location. So
Thank you.
One of the other things too, which I think you've touched on a little bit, Zita, is kind of this challenging of stereotypes in terms of like the model minority, but also kind of this like exoticized like sexual character as well. But at the same time, you have a character that is very sexual. Do you kind of want to talk about finding that balance and the ways you kind of approach sexuality in the film? Because I found it so refreshing and so transgressive in such an interesting way.
Thank you so much. And first of all, there's a reason why I chose the character to be Fox and in the film, because it's coming from a Chinese mythology. And in Chinese, there's a term called 狐狸精, which means someone who's extremely sexual and rocks you in bed. And the normal, like, Asian culture, normally women are be seen as 狐狸精, like someone who's extremely sexualized. So because this is a female perspective genre film, I wanted to flip the gender stereotype. So I was just like, we're going to have a male 狐狸精here. And also, because I feel like a lot of coming of age stories are told from male gaze. And especially for, when characters first time having sex, the girls know exactly what she's doing. But first time having sex is very painful and messy. And I me and Jesse and Qiyu had a lot of talks about this. We wanted to make sure we craft this sexual energy is truly from a female perspective.
And what kind of questions are you asking in that process? Because I imagine that it is a process, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to.
Mm-hmm. And like me and Boss, like we had a lot of talks about the sex scenes, and thanks to Boss, he gave me so much trust and courage, and I feel like it took us a lot of time and talk to find that understanding of how baby progresses as a woman through her sexual act.
And obviously this film is kind of playing with genre in an untraditional way. Do you kind of want to talk about like the genre films that inspire you and what kind of genre film that you wanted to make?
For sure. As a Chinese genre filmmaker, I grew up watching 60s, 70s, and 80s Hong Kong genre films like Shaw Brothers. I know Benny Chen has his newest film at Fantasia's.
Yeah, it played yesterday.
Play at Fantasia this year as well, and also Xu Ke. I don't know how to quite translate his name. Turk Shuk. He directed the Once Upon a Time in China series.
Oh yeah.
His work for sure influenced me, and from this point on, I think is very, because me and Qiyu had a lot of talks about female-led genre films, because for real, fantasy, horror, and as filmmakers, we draw real life experiences, and but females have different understanding of fear, horror, and I think we wanted to craft that in our future films.
And I guess this question is kind of for everybody, just because I feel like it is such an what do you call it? Like, it's such a personal question, I guess. I feel like this movie touches on a very specific American experience, but it also speaks to a more general one as well. When you are creating and making a film that is so much about the American immigrant experience, do you kind of want to discuss like the challenges and I guess your point of view on like American life as it's seen through this film?
I feel like, oh my God, that's such a great question. Thank you so much for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like each immigrant has their own unique experience. And what's unique about Baby Don't Cry is, as I said, she's not like a sex symbol. She's like every day, very average girl, just like does her own thing. And also she's not like a model minority trying to go to Harvard or Stanford. And she's just like everyday person. And I think it's very important to see all kinds of immigrants.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great question, kind of open up a broader discussion. I think I really love what you're saying there, Zita, because it is kind of like an individual story. And so with that, with my approach is just kind of just one, Zita and I have been friends and we worked together before, but be curious, ask questions, and honor the humanity in everybody. And I think what I love about the opportunity that I had to direct this film is, everybody in it can be kind of perceived by others in a pretty negative way, whether where they are in the social strata or on the outskirts of society. And so I wanted to approach this without judgment. Every character, the situation where people maybe are behaving in ways that, aren't the healthiest way to live, but yet they're all coming from a place and we have love for them and compassion for them. And we're trying to understand them and ask these questions of like, what is your experience? Because it's great just to see something different, to have this experience, to view and to experience on film that can maybe lead us to, the broader realm of just like, hey, I'm curious to know, like, this is really different. This is foreign for me to see in some ways. And I would just like to learn about something that maybe is different from my experience that I lived with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in, they can. If not, I can move on. It's
Love to. Yeah, I was waiting for somebody else. If I can go first. Well, for me, definitely Zita brought me a very well written script. I really appreciate what you said at the beginning. You think the movie has some nuance, but also it can reach people universally. That's how I felt when I read the script when Zita brought it to me. At the beginning, I was more about more as a note giver, but eventually because of visual feeling and the guts that I see, there's a nuanced part that's so different from other Asian movies that already made. And I just really want to make it with Zita and Jesse, so it just teamed up. But also, what I really, really feel about the movie is that sometimes many things we think is the thing that affecting immigration's life are not the actual thing that are affecting them. And as a person who experienced this specific kind of lifestyle, like me and Zita and our team want to bring this to the people in a very, very specific way. It's not like only about language, only about very general manners. There are like small details that sometimes people don't pay attention to, such as like when I had a bicycle that I bought for $80, and I had a tiny hole on my tire, and eventually to fix it here it cost me $45. And this is a very it's like a very huge culture gap for me, because if I fix it in China, it will only be like $1 or $2 for that. But just small things like that is total lifestyle difference.
Mm-hmm.
And like what I see from Baby Don't Cry is like it's choosing different angles to tell the difference of lifestyles. That's why I really, really appreciate Zita and Jesse gave me a chance to be a part of the team to do it.
Very well said. I agree with Qiyu. And I think what's unique about Baby Don't Cry is we often seen immigrants being portrayed in a way. It's like their whole identity is being Asian, being Chinese. It's like they don't have a life besides being Asian. So in Baby Don't Cry, to make her like everyday girl. She goes to school. She has this urges too, and she wants to fall in love, and she wants to reach out. She wants to be a filmmaker. I think. Just make her being seen from different perspectives is very important for me.
Definitely, yes.
If I can hop in, something I really, really love about this film, and they when the film was done, they allowed me to watch it again. I feel like you can tell, or you can show the story of what it is like to be an immigrant coming to the United States, and you can intellectualize it, right? But to have a story that's geared towards just being visceral and just showing what it feels like, that's a very unique thing, where everything you're seeing is a manifestation of feeling, and it's made to make you feel as well. It's a very, very important I would say thing to have, or it's a very important element for a movie to have. So it's something that I really appreciated upon watching. So
I guess one of the questions I have that's kind of like a continuation of that is the use of sound and music, because I feel like that is so much a part of why this film is so immersive. It like really just like brings you, again, like part of it is bringing you back to that like age of being 17 where everything is so sensorial. But it also brings in so many different kinds of elements that create these like parallel realities that are kind of constantly happening. Do you kind of want to discuss the use of sound and music within the film?
Yeah, and Jesse, Qiyu, and I have been working on the music and sound for 5 to 6 months. Jesse is coming from a music background,
Mhm.
musician. He was. I'll let him to talk about the music.
Well, awesome. Shout out to Dimitri, who's our composer, and Kyle, our sound designer. And I thank you, one, for noticing that. I think a lot of times those things can. I like to communicate a lot on more of a subconscious level, and I think when you're dealing with sound, especially, you're doing things a little more subconscious because you're not trying to bring too much attention to it. So we had a few composers come to us, and all of us discussed, and I think we landed with Dimitri was absolutely the right choice, and he just did beautiful work. And so super excited because I feel like he brought a little more life to scenes. He added a certain youthfulness, a certain sense of nostalgia, or just he captured those moments of life along with some dark textures and things like that are really important for me to use to communicate the emotions that I'm trying to get across in different scenes. And then obviously without, like, whoever hasn't seen the movie, I don't want to give too much away, but one of our characters, one of the main characters, sound design was really important to communicate something that was kind of subjective, and that escalates obviously towards the climax of the film. And so just that to me was just sort of like I don't know, you guys, Qiyu and Zita, you found amazing people. I would kind of say, like, it has to be like this, has to be like this, and they'd find the perfect people, and I'd listen to what they would submit. I'm like, all right, cool, we can go in this direction. And so I was pretty like that was a focus for me to go with. And then I'm just so thankful that you guys, we worked really as a team to find the right people and to do these things, to communicate the little touches of fantastical along with that youthfulness. And so that's a kind of a strange tension that I haven't seen done a lot of times. And so, but in my mind, I could see it or I could hear it, but I couldn't execute it till we found the magical people to actually pull it off.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jesse. I guess the fantastical part about the sound design coming from me not speaking English when I first moved to the States, because I didn't speak English. I had to fabricate truth in my head. And it turns out, sometimes what's really happening is not how I feel, it's not like how I think is happening. And especially when you don't speak a language, you become very sensitive about what you hear. And especially, when I was 16 or 17, someone could be saying hello to me, but all I hear is meow. It's like, because I don't know English. And one thing about music being part of this film is Jesse had me listen to the music he selected right before I would start each scene, so to help me prep for the emotional
And the tone, yeah.
I thought that was very helpful. Mm-hmm.
So this is also a more general question. Were there any particular challenges at any point in the film? It could be a challenge in terms of kind of bringing a character to life, or it could be a logistical problem that kind of runs them on the way. Anything that kind of comes to mind, and I guess the solution, because the movie worked out and everyone's happy now.
Challenges?
Yeah, challenges.
And we have challenges?
Yeah, it was a really good time, honestly. It was the best time of my life. We all lived together. We all arrived together. And I guess the biggest challenge was we shot in the winter. So me, Bonnie and Voss, and especially, you know, like Bonnie and Voss, like when we had that like party scene, like Bonnie was in a like a was it a dress you were like a
Yeah, it
skirt?
was a little slip dress. It was so cold.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think every single challenge we faced eventually becomes something push the movie to a better level, which we really appreciate and feel grateful because especially for Seattle, it was really rainy, and originally it was a difficulty for production, but actually the humid feeling it helped the environment and just supported the overall atmosphere of the film, so it's become a gaining point.
mhm. Yeah, because it was so cold, and I
Yeah.
think it helped me to prep for the character because I wanted someone to love me because I was cold.
I know,
That-
yeah. Like if you see, yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
honestly, one of like a real challenge is the fact that people were getting sick, you know, because we were out cold and we just had
Oh,
like,
it's
oh man, and Voss, I remember you got pretty sick and you were like, can I take the day off? I'm like, I don't think you can do it. You gotta gut it out. So,
It was November, right? We shot in
Yeah.
November, and you saw them wearing shorts just in the movie.
Yeah.
Bonnie wearing skirt.
I think getting up at 4 a.m. every day was also very it's challenging. I like sleeping in.
Right. True.
And so how long was the shooting schedule then for the film?
It was 20 days for shooting, and we did schedule for this, but we actually shoot it ended at 18 days, and 2 days earlier before the schedule. So we picked up some B-rolls and some city scenes after we shooted the main scene. Yeah, that was a pretty great experience shooting in Seattle there. Usually every day is like a 20-hour shooting outside, and some days we have some shooting inside the room. Maybe like 14 hours can get rid of everything, and we just having fun in the party in the house. That's great.
That's awesome. I mean, it's so rare to finish early, I guess, and having that extra time. Like that's like a gift.
yeah.
So we kind of round things off after 30-40 minutes. So we're kind of closing things up. Usually I end by asking people what their future projects are, anything that they kind of want to talk about that's coming up. But maybe I missed something else that you guys want to talk about with the film. Like I said, like I love it, and like I want to hear like if you guys have like a story or there's an element that you feel like is really important to kind of bring to the forefront, like feel free to let me know and we can talk about that too.
There's one thing I want to say before we wrap today's Q&A.
Yes.
I feel like for any independent filmmaking, it's never about one creator's vision. And this film is created by like an army of immigrant women. And our producer, we have two like female producers from China and our editors. And I just feel like we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for their help. And also like tons of talented young filmmakers. I am very, very grateful. I just feel like it's truly a team effort. Mm-hmm.
Definitely a great collaboration because everyone is listening to each other, and like just me seeing everybody working, like I personally learned a lot, and I just feel like the atmosphere of letting the movie make itself work sometimes is a good way to respect the true art. That's what I learned from the project. So sometimes relax is the best way to make great art, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and also for the future projects, Zita, do you want to go over a little about the plans?
Yeah. So I'll be starring in two of Qiyu's future feature films. Like we're doing a slasher film, and next year, and in 2023 we're gonna do a wuxia Western film in China.
Wow.
So feature films coming.
yeah, with the same team of Baby Don't Cry, and also with the same kind of gutsy feeling and the continuation of the genre film we want to do. So that's coming up.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I mean, it's like just talking with all of you, like it's so clear that everyone just has such this like amazing rapport, and like I see why the film came out as good as it did, just because you guys all seem to be so open with each other. It's like seems like such a privileged and blessed experience. So
Thank you. Yeah, I think I mean I feel very fortunate to have so much talent as a director. I think that makes that's made my role a lot simpler to have so much talent. I think you know, for me it was just one, having Zita's trust for me to take this on and help, you know, bring to life her story in the sense. But really, I think I really believe in people, and I believe in Boni and Voss and Helen and Adam. And the more I can just tell them how amazing they are, to trust them, then they, hopefully you guys just felt like more free to experiment, to play, and to just be the character that you guys were, and for Adam too, and just for me it was just sort of like giving trust, giving safety, because I want, you know, with this film we're kind of doing some crazy stuff in it, so some stuff that could kind of go the wrong way, and delicate things, and so when we have that environment and you have the team where there's trust, there's faith, there's belief in each other, this beautiful thing can happen.
Thank you, Jesse.
That's so well said. Jesse, seeing you work with the cast, I just feel I learned a lot. So yeah, so I really appreciate seeing how you trust people, and people will just naturally blossom with who they are. Okay,
Yeah, one of the reasons I love working in film is just for the people, you know, and I feel like this is that special team that I'm always going to remember, like this time that we got to spend. You know, it was kind of like a very cold summer camp, and we all got to, you know, just have a lot of fun and make, you know, art that we really believe in. And, you know, when I remember when we were wrapping everything up and cleaning up the house to go and we're flying back home, there was that, you know, that very bittersweet feeling, and, you know, but there's that whole month of being able to shoot that we can all harken back to for some good memories. So thank you guys for that.
Thank you everyone. It was the best filmmaking journey.
Does anybody have any stories? There was some crazy stuff that happened. Why are we blanking on stories? Thank you. Bring it.
Go.
Yeah. Okay, both Zeron and Qiyu fell asleep at the wheel.
Wait, what?
Behind the wheel.
We both fell asleep at the wheel on separate instances.
Because we already get up at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, so it was our opportunity and the chance to make the schedule, and so we sleep later than everybody else and get up early than everybody else. So we have to keep in the energy all the time. So as we found the opportunity, we fall asleep like everywhere, like in the car, or like on the street, everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, okay, there is one great story. Do we have time? I don't want to take any time.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
This is like behind the scenes, like magic. So there's Voss, you know, if I start going anywhere, you can just give the X, okay? But there's a close-up shot in this scene with a bit of a bulge, right? All right. So
there was
behind the scenes filmmaking magic was, you know, we had a stand-in a sense, not a stand-in person, but an object. And so just the procedure of production design and Zita and dealing with this, you know, fun prosthetic thing, and it's like him trying to get it in position and then cutting it, you know, is just like all the men are horrified watching this thing, you know, get cut in half. So that was just I'll remember that for sure. We're out in the middle of the woods. It's bizarre. Yeah.
It's funny. I forgot about that, but you reminded me. So that's good. Oh,
Also, Fox apartment, Fox house is actually a spooky house, an abandoned
God,
spooky
yeah.
house.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't there
yeah,
like
that house.
there was like a skeleton? Wasn't there like a skeleton, but like a fake one?
Well, there
upstairs?
was that severed deer head in the woods where we filmed the scene where we're attacking.
Oh
him.
yeah.
That was real. And
That was a real head. Yeah.
Whoa.
and there was
Yeah.
no insulation in Fox's house either. So you would think that it would be warm in the house. But it was...
Yeah, there's no electricity, and yeah, it's an actual abandoned house that has no owner, and it looks really, 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 almost falling down. And our production designer moved in, just like did some paintings with it, and our cast just move in there and live there, become Fox and Sky. Yeah, and when we open the
Dead
door,
rat removals.
there,
Yeah.
right, there was a spooky skeleton like hanging right in front of the door, like intention, like a voodoo doll, and we're like, what's going on? So scary. It's but good thing is they don't have a location owner, so easier for paperwork, I guess. But
And then the power went out
actually...
the day of our party scene. Like the power went out right away, and we had to like crack open this door that was sealed probably for like 40 years or something. And I went down there, and for some reason the this house looked like, when we first came in there, covered in spider webs and dead rats. And it was like, oh God, who's gonna go in the basement? I went down there, and for some reason the basement was like nice and clean, and like just like, oh, I wouldn't rest house this way.
It's awesome.
It's all a facade.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember when I tripped over Mingy's equipment in the bus?
No.
So there's this really, so it was the moment where like I think like Fox is introduced into this story, and he's like walking on the bus, and his boys are like yelling at him. He's like, "Why are you taking the bus?" I don't know if I'm giving anything away. I don't think I am. But he yells back. He's like, "'Cause I got money, bitch!" Right? And the first time that we did that, I didn't see that Mingy had his like wires across the aisle. So I like yelled all confident. I was like, "'Cause I got money, bitch!" And I walked and I tripped over his entire like audio setup. So it was like confidence up here, and then I was just brought way down. That was fun.
Awesome. So I guess we're gonna finish up for tonight. This has honestly been such a pleasure. You guys are awesome. I love the film, and like meeting everybody and seeing kind of the energy behind it makes me love it even more. So like that's awesome. For everyone watching now or later, because this will be available on YouTube after the fact. Oh wait, I have a question. Sorry. Someone says thanks. That's a great question. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. You're welcome. Really important, if you watch the movie and you loved it, let people know, share it. This is a world premiere. This is a small indie film that's so special. And one of the ways that a movie like Baby Don't Cry kind of finds its audience is through people watching it and talking about it. So go on Twitter, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, tell your friends. That is still like the most effective way for people to find these movies. So go do that, go log on and talk about it. Thank you guys once again so much. Like this has been such a pleasure, and it's such an honor to play your film. I hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you so much, Justine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good to see you again.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. To the audience.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.